Hello. Welcome back. So last time we talked about our instrument as singers, and I'm still there. Last time I talked about the larynx because that's where the basic sound is being produced, and today I want to look into how the actual sound is being produced, which means, as I mentioned last time, there wouldn't be sound without air. So let's look into where the air comes from. In other words, let's look at the respiratory system. We breathe in. We fill our lungs with air. Airs blow like a big balloon and they take up more space. And then we breathe out. And that's where the sound happens. Okay, so mental note. The sound happens on the exhale because that's when the air travels through the vocal folds and makes them vibrate, right? But now, how does it work, really? Well, to help us with the breathing, we have a huge muscle in our body. It's about here, like where those lower ribs are. It's called, you guess it, the diaphragm, all right? The diaphragm can be raised or it can be lowered. When it's raised, our lungs are empty. Well, they don't have a lot of space because they're empty. And when we breathe in, the diaphragm lowers itself and it makes more space and it creates a negative pressure. So the air gets sucked in, and that's how it works from our very first breath to our very last. And I want to demonstrate this to you. And when the lungs are empty, it looks like this. It's relaxed. It's raised like this. When we breathe in, what happens is the following. All right, you see that? It lowers and it expands. When we exhale, it rises, and it can rise in different ways. It can collapse like this when we sigh. So this goes very fast. But when I sing, I don't want the air to be just spilled. I want this in a controlled way. I want to, for a stable, healthy, clear, beautiful, and even note, I need a stable, even, and control exhale, right? So what we want the diaphragm to do is stay down here, expanded and lowered as long as possible. And then when we breathe out, we want this to happen in a controlled way, so our sound can be steady and clear, okay? Now, how do we do that? Well, we cannot tell the diaphragm to stay down, it doesn't respond directly to our commands. So that's the bad news, but the good news is we do have means to control the diaphragm indirectly, because it's attached to everything here. So it's attached to the lungs, kind of, and it's attached to our ribs. And these lower ribs are free, you can actually move them. Just try this out. Can you see this? I can move them in and out, and I can move my diaphragm by doing this. But really on stage, this is not what we would think of, like, keep your ribs out. It's not exactly what we want to do. So, but the good news again, we have helpers here. We have different sets of muscles that can help us keep the diaphragm in that position so the diaphragm can be lowered, right? So I want you to try this. Just put your hands here and put one hand on your stomach here, and then breathe in and keep the air in as long as you can. Hold your breath, and please stop it before you pass out, okay? I don't want you to pass out on me. So keep the air in as long as you can, and then see if you can feel something happening in your abs region here, because our body is trying to help us keep the air in and to keep the ribs wide, right? So it gets warm around here. And so those are the muscles that can help us. And here we have a set of muscles that can help us. And then also you can squeeze your arms a little bit and you can feel those muscles back there, and they will help you too. Sigh, yes. All these muscles can help you keep the ribs wide so the diaphragm can stay in that lower position, so you can produce a steady, even, beautiful, and healthy sound. All right? Well, and that is what we call support and support work and support energy. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Please go to my website if you want to know more about it, or just sign up for my classes.